Hey guys, it's Brian again. I just got done reviewing my initial video, and a couple of things that I guess failed to mention and discuss with you guys that are relevant to the same situation here with Sprint and what they're trying to do. One of are as follows. Okay. First of all, uh, I mentioned that an MVNO, a couple of MVNOs that Sprint owns are like Virgin Mobile and Boost. Well, MVNO is an acronym for Mobile Virtual Network Operator. They operate under their own brand, but they utilize an agreement with the company that has their own towers. So essentially, they don't have their own towers. That is a big contributor to the influx of congestion that Sprint has seen over the last 5+ years, because they're the company that has the absolute most MVNOs, iStream, Cricket, so on and so forth. Okay, they're trying to free up a lot of the 3G. Aside from doing enhanced offerings on 3G and changing out base stations and stuff, they're doing things like offloading their MVNOs and offering LTE, which Sprint is the first carrier, nationwide carrier, to offer 3G on an MVNO. Cricket just started selling an LTE device, and Cricket has their own home network area, but they roam off of Sprint, further congesting, and they're trying to free up the 3G, which could it does work, because they're getting people off of the 3G for data and onto LTE, and the network is supposed to be smart enough to only utilize 3G for certain things, primarily voice. When they do deploy the 800, you'll see a further decrease in traffic on the 3G 19. Even though they're going to, because they're going to be using the 800 for voice, and so I mean that's going to help a lot too. And realistically, you should see speeds of between 1 to 2 megabits per second on the down on the 3G video Rev A. Sometimes peak speeds of 3 to 4, depending on congestion. You get on the network and do a speed test on the 3G that's been fully updated here in the next year probably, and you should see in doing so at like I don't know, the hours of between let's say 02 to 6 in the morning, which is when there is less data traffic, right? You should see those peak speeds of upwards of 3, possibly 4 at times. It just really depends. Sprint is doing other things like shortening the distance between panel and server, certain things like that, and they, instead of bottlenecking and using coax from ground equipment to panel, they're actually using fiber, and they just started implementing a better solution to reduce backhaul, which is by using Ethernet backhaul, because it's safe, like essentially one Ethernet cable or one Ethernet implementation is like several T1 lines, right? So it's more cost effective, and more efficient, and it's a good solution, but they just have to do it, Anyway, one other thing that I'd like to mention is the 4G WiMAX service. A lot of you are still on a 4G WiMAX device. 4G WiMAX isn't going to be around for any more than just a couple of more years, and the 4G WiMAX was a shared endeavor by Sprint and Clearwire. It never went anywhere because it utilizes the 2500 megahertz frequency, which translates to 2.5 gigahertz. It is wide but not far. Now, we have learned since the implementation of WiMAX that there are ways to allocate signal better and make it more penetrable, but it's a little too late, and really Sprint reminded me when they came out with 4G WiMAX of Sega. Sega. Sorry guys, I just had to do that. I'm a little tired and exhausted from being out driving all day, but Sega came out with how many gaming systems for the Dreamcast, and it was ultimately to their demise because companies like Nintendo and Sony came out and just absolutely trumped them. And what happened to Sega? Sega. I see their name on games. That's about it. If I'm not mistaken, Sega America went bankrupt, right? Right. Anyway, those of you with 4G WiMAX devices are going to be shit out of luck here in a couple of years, but by that time your contracts will be up and you'll be up for going somewhere else, or renewing your contract and or purchasing a new phone, because they realize that most people with smartphones upgrade every couple of years. So and I don't know if I'd see any type of offerings from Sprint to help you shoulder the load to get you into an LTE device, but I know that they did help shoulder the load with the Nextel transition. I'm not at all saying that Sprint is absolutely out of their mind or not a good company, but they're not marketing themselves the way that they should. SoftBank Japan is a company out of Japan that is probably going to be buying 78% of Sprint, freeing up cash flow so that they can purchase Clearwire, the remaining shares of Clearwire. And if I'm not mistaken, the buyout from SoftBank, them buying approximately 78% of Sprint shares, is contingent upon the acquisition of Clearwire, because they do have plans. Clearwire is going to, they've sustained a loss over time, and a lot of the investors, such as Google and various other companies, dipped out of the investment role by taking a loss. But Clearwire has 100 megahertz worth of spectrum in the 2500 megahertz or 2.5 gigahertz frequency range, and they deployed all this WiMAX, and they're actually going to rip and replace with LTE, and they're doing so utilizing a different form of LTE that's not yet been deployed in the United States. It's what China Mobile uses. It is faster, and instead of having an up and a downlink, uplink and downlink, I believe it's just one stream. And it's going to enhance the service of Sprint when that actually happens. And I don't foresee that being complete for several years now, but I'd say 3 to 5. Hopefully, more so 3. But the current phones aren't going to be capable of the Clearwire network anyway. But currently, those of you that have purchased phones that came to market for Sprint, beginning 2011 and up to now and then on into the future, have the radios that are capable of the 800 megahertz frequency. So you'll see a further enhancement in your services. Just to give you an example, some of the devices, the Galaxy Nexus, surprisingly, right? So those raw Android enthusiasts that love their Nexus devices will be able to utilize the 800 megahertz whenever it becomes available. The S2 actually does have that included. This is all information that I got from Steven, who has spoken to corporate, primarily the people that deal with handsets, and the R&D and the purchasing of the handsets. Actually, let me rephrase that. He didn't speak directly with corporate, but they sent out a memorandum about what devices would be capable of utilizing the 800. Of course, the S3, S4, HTC One, just any device that came to market from 2011 on is going to include the 800 megahertz capabilities. And let's see what else. I just want to make sure that I have everything covered. I really wasn't intending on being scatterbrained, and I would typically write out a rough draft of what I was going to be talking about before doing so. This being really the first in a line of videos about network technology and primarily Sprint. I just didn't really care, I guess. I mean, even though it's a little here and there, I still was able to get out the majority of information to you guys. Now, I would like to discuss or hit on the SoftBank Japan deal. As you guys know, if you have a place that buys more in bulk, then it reduces the overall cost because you're buying more at one time. It's the difference between going to Walmart and Sam's Club. Okay. With that being said, whenever the deal with SoftBank goes down, which has already gotten regulatory approval through the FCC, the FBI, and various other government agencies, you're going to be able to see probably an increase in, I'd say an increase in savings on devices that may be passed on to us as consumers. I don't know what Sprint's going to do with the money that they save, because they're going to be able to increase their buying power for these devices, and in doing so, hopefully they'll pass that on to us, even though they already subsidize the cost of the phone. They may actually be able to dump all of that extra money that they save into network improvements. That would be great. Or possibly to counter the losses from one quarter to the next that they've been encountering for the last however long it's been going on. Anyway, SoftBank Japan, in my opinion, markets themselves similar to that of T-Mobile USA here in the States. They're fresh, they're fun and funky. They just look them up on YouTube. They have commercials out, and they're very vibrant. And Sprint to me is kind of similar, like I said, or I believe I said before, to that of the Republicans. They're dry. They're just not in touch with Americans and what the majority of Americans are wanting, and they're not appealing to the right demographic. They're just really behind, and they need to do some catching up. As much as I hate to say it, I mean, there's like a trade-off between T-Mobile and Sprint. T-Mobile has great service in the major markets. When you venture out, they have 2G towers and 1G towers, of which they're saying they're going to allocate spectrum of 2 HSPA service, and so you'll see an enhanced service across their entire network, even outside of the major markets, but that's to be seen. But T-Mobile has a really good marketing campaign. They're fun, they're fresh, and they're very appealing. And John Ledger's on one. For those of you that don't know, John Ledger is their new CEO. He's helped a lot of companies trim fat in the past, and this is his first venture into wireless, but wireless phone technology and stuff. But he's been in the IT field for many years, and it doesn't take a person of great intelligence to understand how this stuff works, because once you compartmentalize everything, it's actually really simple to understand. So anyway, I'm just and you guys don't hold Dan Hesse, which is the current CEO of Sprint, accountable for the Nextel deal. I mean, that was the previous CEO. I guess Dan's doing what he can, but they're very dry, very ta or whatever you want to call it, stick up the butt type of thing. And they just need to, get with the times. I mean, it's probably going to be to their demise if they don't change their marketing. And, look what happened to the Republicans. The Democrats knew what was up. They appealed to the right demographic. They were hip, fresh, cool, global economy, let's work together, peace, love, happiness, whatever, right? And still all the while trying to hold core values, and they were able to appeal to a lot of the alternative, demographics, gay community, so on and so forth. And because of that, they won the presidential election. Again. Anyway, I didn't vote. I thought that both of them were fucking worthless. I mean, they just didn't have a clear enough of a directive on either side for me to even vote. All I can say is, sorry, Mitt Romney, you're a failure just like your father. People just need to be real and honest and open. That's what people want. They're tired of the rigmarole and the bullshit. So, red tape, let's cut through it. This approach that T-Mobile's taking is very refreshing, and I see them doing really well. They merged with Metro PCS. It's not to say that Sprint can't revive themselves. I'm hoping that their relationship with SoftBank does them some good. Like I said, SoftBank is out of Japan. They were actually a company that had no previous experience in wireless, in managing a wireless company and network. They jumped into it, and they're doing relatively well for themselves. But truth be told, Sprint cannot market themselves as a broken while being a broken network, which is primarily why they decided to go ahead and upgrade. It was essential to their survival. And who wants to invest in a broken network? Nobody. So you really make up your mind as to the motivation behind Sprint's network vision. Look, from a tech standpoint, it does make sense, but they've got a lot of work ahead of them. And so, like I said before, I'm going to be posting the phone number to the networking team in Oklahoma City. My contact there is Steven, my point of contact. And Steven is a part of the management team there. And then I'll post the corporate email to a pretty cool chick named Kimberly. I just called her Kim, trying to, relate and be cool with her and stuff. But you guys should forward, real world speed tests to her if you live in the Austin area. It wouldn't help people to post stuff or attach files and stuff like that to that corporate email for Ericsson if you live, like say in Chicago, because Samsung's doing y'all's upgrades. And Ericsson's more so, South Central United States, Texas, Arkansas, so on and so forth. I guess that is it. I hope that you guys are a lot more well informed. One other thing that I would like to mention is, Sprint. Just to clarify, make sure that you guys understand everything. Sprint offering 4G WiMAX devices and LTE devices on, Boost and Virgin and Cricket and so on and so forth, helps offload the 3G network, okay, and gets people up to speed. But then it, is kind of counterproductive because it then further congests the LTE platform. But what can I say? They're a little late with what they're doing, and they're having to do a lot of rip and replace. You guys in Chicago, I feel for you. The Samsung server equipment is multimodal. and it doesn't work well with the old Motorola equipment, so they're just doing what they call rip and replacement. So they'll have a down tower, and once they get a fully completed tower up and running on the Samsung equipment, if there's a tower that you're traveling toward that still has the old equipment, the old Motorola equipment, what happens is there's no communication between the two, so your phone will drop service completely and then reacquire it after several seconds. A lot of times people are seeing a disconnect from the network because of that for upwards of 30 seconds. So hopefully everything gets better for you guys up there. Just keep calling, keep having them pinpoint North Austin. Let's work together, people. I mean, we pay for the service and we have a right to voice our opinion. Sorry for the low lighting conditions, but I'm keeping my self in the dark, in the shadows. I did state my name, but I just like to keep my physical appearance mood at this point, probably for obvious reasons. But yeah, let's get it together, people. Let's make Sprint do what's right. Like I said, it's ultimately Ericsson that's dropping the ball here. So like I said, send what you can to the email address that I'm going to be posting, and call the networking team in Oklahoma City. Tell them that Ryan Moore sent you, and when you mention Steven's name, they'll automatically know what's up. And I'll also attach the current CTMS ticket number that I have open for this area and that Steven is currently working on with management, so that you guys can reference that, and they'll see the severity and of the situation and get you right over to Steven if he's available. Otherwise, use the word pinpoint, okay? And the more people that call, even if it's regular customer service, the more it will quote unquote light up on their screen and show, areas of problematic areas of areas of concern. In other words, and the pinpoint goes directly to Ericsson's engineers. It's a more streamlined way, more effective, and it doesn't return results and don't call you back on it. And not to say they don't do CTMS tickets still, but that's more of an elevated thing if pinpoint's not working. But one thing that's great about pinpoint is the more people that actually submit pinpoints, the more likely it is to automatically generate an outage. So do what we've got to do. If you don't want to call and you're at a Sprint store, tell them to submit tickets on your behalf, and they will gladly do so. The Tech Ridge location is aware of the situation. A point of contact over there is one of the techs named Ben, and you can also tell them that Ryan sent you. Guys, other than what I've said, I don't really know what else to say. I'm just as flabbergasted about the situation as you, but this can be fixed if we all work together. So, and another thing that I was wanting to do was get in contact with the local news media and set up a spot where a lot of us get out there and picket, protest, in other words, to try to draw some attention to the situation. If it does some good, then what's an hour of time on out of your day on the weekend? I mean, you pay for a broken service. I mean, anything that might help to fix the situation, is in my opinion something that I'm willing to consider. But anyway, it's getting kind of late. Peace. Take care, guys.